Good evening.
Good evening.
I could hear y'all all the way up here a while ago. I says good evening.
Good evening.
That's a little bit better. I like the way y'all stacked in there like sardines. Like each other, don't you? Oh yeah, y'all do. There's nothing wrong with that. So, who won the ball game? PDL won? Okay, so they'll be playing again, Friday. Okay. All right, well, tonight's message was inspired by athletics. So let's jump right on into it. Now, many of y'all in here are athletes. You play, you compete in some kind of sport or something, and you do so to win a trophy, an award, a scholarship, or something or another. There's a purpose for what you compete for. Do you realize that being a Christian makes you an athlete as well? Did you know that being a Christian makes you an athlete? Why? That's always a good answer, Brenda. You're a smart man. And when you get older, it'll be because my wife told me. And that's what you do that again. You'll go far.
Well, I don't think
Well, I do. The name of tonight's message is The Athlete of Christianity. Like I said, I got a bunch of y'all. Almost everybody in here competes in some type of sport, and it don't just be our what you commonly look at in our area. It's basketball, baseball, softball, volleyball, football, but there is other things. There's cheerleading, there's competitive cheer, there's dance, there's all of these things that what's that?
archery.
Archery. There's all kinds of things that we compete at, and the purpose of it is to win, is to win some type of reward or be rewarded in some way. Now, in order, well, let's do it like this first. I want to read some scripture to us first. We're going to look at 1 Corinthians. That is the book of 1 Corinthians, the 9th chapter, and we are going to read verses 24 through 27. 1 Corinthians 9, verses 24 through 27. And it says, Know ye not that they which run in a race run all, but one receiveth the prize. So run that ye may obtain, and every man that striveth for the mastery is temperate in all things. Now, they do it to obtain a corruptible crown, but we is incorruptible. I therefore so run, not as uncertain, so fight I, not as one that beateth the air, but I keep under my body and bring it into subjection, lest that by any means, when I have preached to others, I myself should be a castaway. In the sport that any of your whatever it is that you compete in, participate in, there's only going to be one person or one team that's going to finish first. Out of all those that compete, only one person, only one team is going to finish first. So that's our goal. I think most of us, when we're competing in whatever sport we are, we're competing so that we might be the best, so that we might finish first. Am I right? I mean, is there anybody in here that competes to not finish first? I mean, really, that's okay if you don't. But if you compete, if you take something serious, whatever it may be, and this is not just about like the basketball game y'all watched tonight or played in or whatever, or anything. It's about anything that you do. Sometimes you compete against yourself. If you fish and hunt, a lot of times that competition is against yourself. It's not so much against others, especially in the fishing world. You are competing against yourself, and then you're comparing yourself to others. But in anything that you are doing, that you train for, there's a reason. Let's go through these verses one at a time real quick. Verse 24 said, Know ye not that they which run in a race run all, but one receiveth the prize, so run that you may obtain. So that's what we just saying. As in Paul's case here, he's talking basically, even though it wasn't the Olympics, it was like the Olympian Games. And the race he's talking about was a very extreme race. And the training that they done was very extreme. But in this race, all these competed, only one piper could win. Only one person could win. But they trained hard, and there was only going to be one winner. You trained hard, there was only going to be one winner. Well, Paul says, in your Christian race, train hard. Try to be the winner. Try to be the very best Christian that you can be. That's what Paul was saying there. In verse 25, it says, and every man that striveth for the mastery is temperate in all things. Now they do it to obtain a corruptible crown, but we an incorruptible. Now I want to go through a couple of things there for you too. It says, and every man that striveth for the mastery is temperate in all things. Does anybody know what that means? That striveth for the mastery. Y'all understand what that's saying? Trying to be the best. Yeah, you're working hard to be the very best. To master your discipline, your whatever it is that you're training in. That's what you're doing. You're striving to be the very best. But do you know, the one thing you'll notice about those high-level athletes, they're temperate. Does anybody know what the word temperate means? Or temperance? Anybody? It's not a word that we commonly use. Temperance. I'm going to just read you the exact definition of it. Moderation. Particularly habitual moderation in regard to the indulgence of the natural appetites and passions, or in other words, in the things of this world. Restrained or moderate indulgence, such as temperance in eating and drinking, temperance in the indulgence of joy or mirth. It's patience, calmness, sedateness, moderation of passion. So in other words, think about this. Think about the people that you know, or maybe even yourself, that have trained. They train so hard. We're talking about the very upper echelon of athletes. They train hard. They give everything they do. They're temperate in all things. Or in other words, they moderate. They hold back from the things that they would like to do in this world, like say, I want to eat that whole buffet. I want to just hit the buffet. I want to eat everything. Or I want to just lay around in my pajamas all day today, watch TV, instead of getting up and going to train. All right? The upper level guys, they don't do those things. These people, they strive for mastery, and they are therefore temperate. They are moderate. They have self-control to do the things they need to do to get to where they want to be, to get to the top of their game. As a Christian, in our Christian race, it's not any different. Each one of us as a Christian should strive for that ability to master Christianity. We should be temperate in all things. Now let's go. Well, let me stay right there. Hold on, go back for just a second. One thing that I want to point out there. The difference between that top level athlete. How many Super Bowl victories has Tom Brady got? 7. Dude, that's 7 Super Bowl wins by one quarterback. Would you say that's a mastery of the art?
More than most teams.
That's right. That's more victories by one guy than most professional teams have.
That's more than the Patriots have.
You heard that too, didn't you? Let me give you another one. If there's any fishermen out there, that any of y'all follow basketball, Mr. Roland Martin, who my wife loves and calls Ric Flair, for those of you that know wrestling more than you know fishing. Mr. Roland Martin is a 9-time Angler of the Year. Now, most of y'all are probably saying, what is that? That means that 9 different times through his career, 9 different seasons, he was the most consistent, highest ranking average fisherman each year. You know how many other people have won 9? None. There's one other guy that's come close. Kevin Van Dallen's got 7, but then you fall back and the rest of them is you win 1, you win maybe 2. I mean, it's a hard thing to do. If you know anything about tournament bass fishing, it's very difficult to be consistently the best. Because not only do you have to train yourself and work hard just like any other athlete, but you also have to be able to find where the fish are that day. And if you don't happen to get to find them, well, you may not be able to do it. But it's mastering that technique, it's mastering your knowledge, it's mastering your ability. 9 times, he's a master of his discipline. Even still, what he goes for, Brady or Bill Russell, who won so many basketball championships with Boston Celtics, or Roland Martin with the Anglers of the Year, or any of your athletes, you know, the people you look up, the New York Yankees with their, around 30 World Series titles. I mean, even all of this stuff, it's all corrupt. These people are training hard. Y'all that play, that take it serious, you work hard at it. I know y'all do. I watch it. I get to see y'all. Y'all work hard at it. These people work unbelievably hard at it. And it's all for a corruptible crown. Do you know what that means? A corruptible crown. It means it's a title that's going to go away. In one way, you can look at it like this. Just like Ponce de Leon tonight's playing, or this week will be playing for a state title. If they win it, guess what? If they want to continue to be the state champions, then they got to win again next year. So even though you won that title, you have won, you're at the top of your game. Well, that don't last. It's corruptible. It does not last. You know how long it lasts for the upper echelon, those guys we've just been talking about? It lasts about that long. They win right on. And they immediately are training and planning for their next victory, for their next title. It's a corruptible crown. Therefore, you're always trying to win. It's going to go away. It's not going to last. But then what does it say? But we, an incorruptible. Does anybody know what incorruptible means? Everlasting. They'll never go away. You get saved one time, folks. And forever and ever and ever and ever you're saved. You have won. You have that title. And the title of Christian, and it never goes away. But we do need to work at that. We do have to keep working at it. Let's look over real quick at Philippians chapter 3. Philippians, the 3rd chapter, verses 13 and 14. Brethren, I count not myself to have apprehended, but this one thing I do, forgetting those things which are behind and reaching forward unto those things which are before. I press toward the mark for the prize of the high calling of God in Christ Jesus. Now I just want to read to you what I wrote down. This is the first thing that comes to my mind, and I just wrote this down when I read that. And it goes like this. Regardless of the victories, the losses, and the injuries of the past, the highest level athletes always push forward to improve their abilities in order to gain the best prize. They're constantly working to get better. The very best you know is always working to get even better. That's what they're doing. They're working, they're pushing themselves. And it don't matter how many Super Bowls they've won. It don't matter how many times they got beat by one player. It don't matter how many times they got injured. That top level athlete is constantly pushing to get better and better and better. They can win. I promise y'all, Tom Brady, and maybe he'll retire because it'd be a great way to go out, but I guarantee you the first thing in his mind 10 minutes after he won his last Super Bowl was, how do I win it up? How do I do it one more time? How do I get even
What, is he asleep in his what kind of chamber?
Yes, exactly. And he's thinking these things. I mean, but that's the thing. That's what they do. These top level athletes, they are. Roland Martin's 80 years old, y'all, and the guy is still trying to figure out ways to win at 80 years old. I mean, that's what it is. A top-level athlete is constantly trying to get better. With what we just read and what we just talked about, that's the perfect picture of what our Christian race should look like. We as Christians should be top-level athletes, meaning that we are denying ourselves things that we want while we are improving ourselves for Christ. While we are bettering ourselves to be able to do the things that we need to do. Now, let's look one more spot there in the Bible. In 2 Timothy chapter 4, verses 7 and 8. This will be the second letter to Timothy from Paul, 4th chapter. I'm going to read verses 7 and 8. And it says, I have fought a good fight. I have finished my course. I have kept the faith. Henceforth, there is laid up for me a crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, shall give me at that day. And not to me only, but unto all them also that love his appearing. Now, eventually, those top athletes, they retire. They move on. A lot of them, a lot of the top ones, wait a little bit too long. They try to stretch it out a little bit further, when they should have just went on to win at the top of the game. But because of their love for it, and that's what it is, it's a love for it, they continue. It may be a love of that particular game, it may be the love just of the thrill of victory. Or it may just be a love of the work. Different ones have different reasons why, but they keep on pushing for it, they keep pushing. But they push for it to win those corruptible crowns. And the top tier guys are pushing to one day where they hope to make it to. The Hall of Fame. That's what their goal is. A lot of times, a lot of these 18, 19-year-old kids that are phenomenal athletes, their goal is to one day make the Hall of Fame. That's a great honor. I mean, it really is. There's no doubt about that. I don't care if you make the Hall of Fame at your local school, you've done something. You really have. I mean, it's an honor. And that's what these top tier guys are looking. They're shooting for that Hall of Fame to make it to that. They want that final reward. But once again, that reward is corruptible too. It's going to go away. And the second that they make it in the hall, they may be able to get a little bit of joy and pleasure and contentedness out of that for a little while. But then it's a corruptible crown. It goes away. But for us as Christians, when we end our walk on this earth, that's when we get our crown. That's when we it's not corruptible. It's never going to end. You'll always have it, and it is a crown of righteousness. It's what you strive for. It means that you are no longer going to have to fight things of this world so you don't sin, and so you don't fail, and so you don't have disappointments and all that. You won't have to do that anymore because now it's going to be perfection for you. You just get perfection. It's okay. But that's the thing. But just as the athlete trains and trains, and he denies his desires in order to become the very best in his discipline, we got to do the same thing in our Christian race. The greater athlete we try to be results in greater abilities and greater rewards. The crown we win through our athleticism for Christ, it will never fade. It will not tarnish. It will not break. It will not ever lose its luster. It is eternal. Unlike championships and titles that we go, that we try to win each year, or as an Olympian if we try every 4 years, or as a boxer or MMA person that we try to win every time we have to step in the ring. All of that tarnishes and fades away. We forget about it and move on to the next one. But then the Christian does not. And here's the thing. We should put as much passion in our Christian endeavors, in our Christian training. How do we train as a Christian? Anybody? Reading the Bible and praying. That is our training. That's exactly what our training is. That's our training tools. And then by doing those things, by that training, we're able to be in control of ourselves. We're able to say no to the things that we need to say no to. We're able to deny ourselves so that we can continue on to win our crown. But not just that. Here's the great thing about us. Even though we need to be competing as though we're trying to win and beat everybody, even though we're supposed to be training as hard as those athletes, our goal in all of that is this, is that we will, when we're questioned, when we are tested, and that's the game that we prepare to get into, is when somebody questions our Christianity. Somebody wants to know about our Christianity. Somebody wants to know, well, how do I get saved? How do I know there's a God? How do you know there's a God? You won't have to stand there and go, because why? Because you've trained hard. Because you have prepared yourself to be able to defend the faith. But not just defend the faith, but to be able to show somebody Jesus Christ in your walk so that they can win the same incorruptible crown that you're going to have. Seems to me like we got a lot of training to do, and that is pretty good training. So all I do is I ask you to, as a Christian, to work at least as hard at being a Christian and winning that crown as you do in the sports or the whatever it is that you play or you do that you compete in. I ask you, I challenge you. Work as hard. Give as much to that as you give to your discipline. See what it does for your life. It'll make a difference for you. Any questions or any comments? And I notice Will's not here, so it's awful quiet now. So somebody's got to fill in for Will. We got to have those questions and comments. Yes, ma'am.
Anybody make more posters?
Oh, good question. Anybody got any posters or flyers?
I miss them.
She's got one thing I want.
That's right.
And
Miss Camry's already a step ahead of all of y'all. I wonder how we can make this a little sweeter and get a little more action. For everybody you get to church, we'll give you
$1,000.
I already got one.
We'll give you $1 in Monopoly money. How's that sound?
Yeah.
No, how about $1,000 in real money? Me and Carson have a split.
I know that. We do have some participants, and we had campers, but we also had a couple other people that turned in some stuff. They wish to remain anonymous.
They don't have to turn this up. We're walking posters.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that, but I want to get poster children for sure. Well, that's good thing. So does anybody got anything they'd like to share with you, Rand, or questions or comments on that stuff? No? We're all good? So when are we going, everybody going to be training?
Audi train.
Oh, yeah? Like I said, I challenge you. Train as hard on your Christian race, on the athleticism for Christ, as you do on everything else. Now, yes. Hey, Brandon, we ain't quite there yet. Now, we got some little information. I'll start with this part, and then I'll let you add what you want to. We're going to start doing an offering on Wednesday nights. Now, nobody feel like you are required to put anything in it, but it will be for our youth fund. It'll go into our youth fund for whatever things we may do with it. Now, we do have something coming up pretty big this summer.
It's a secret.
It's a secret. We're not letting out what it is, but there is something.
Somewhere.
I'm not Barney Fife. If you ask me, you're not going to get it out of me. But it is pretty big. Now, with that said, we've got quite a bit of money there in the fund, but this is an opportunity for you to contribute to your own fund. And not just that, it also helps us to be able to have monies to help others when those times come up too. Just like we done last year, we didn't have to have or get to have Bible school, but we still did our offerings and stuff, and we actually done better for the Lighthouse Children's Home than we've probably ever done before.
Then we get like,
Oh, we ended up giving them a 2,000, I think it was, or 15.
Yeah, but in Bible school, we had done like,
Yeah, we did 1,500.
That's right, and then the church matched that. It was, so it was 3,000 that we ended up doing. So it was awesome, and they were really needing it. So, but anyway, the thing is, you know, I'm not gonna get into it with anybody about how much you're supposed to tithe and all that, because I don't believe that there is a set mark, even though the Jews were required to give 10%. And that is a very good benchmark that many churches use. Biblically, we are to give joyfully what the Lord lays on our heart to give, and we are to do it that way. That's the way you do it. So that's between you and God. It's not between you and anybody that takes care of finances. So like I said, giving an offering, I want you to give an offering because you feel led to do it and you're happy to do that. Understand that a lot of what we give here will be for y'all, but it is also to help those that need help. So we'll be starting doing that probably next Wednesday we'll pick it up. There'll be an opportunity for you up here. It won't be the competition that we do during Bible school where it's the boys against the girls. This is just going to be a group effort with the youth group. So just know that we'll be doing that, and it'll go to a good thing. And like I said, we do have something planned for y'all. Lord willing, it'll carry out, and we won't have any issues.
This summer.
And it's this summer, and it's pretty big. So
Is it in June?
you don't worry about it.
We're going to
We got the
Disney.
details.
Well, look here. You think us grown-up people don't know how to plan stuff?
don't worry, your
Yeah.
mom and
Yeah.
dad actually are pretty good at
Why?
Whoever's asking, all you have to do is ask my mom.
I mean, he's
Never.
never gonna keep it.
what if they didn't bring?
I have a schedule.
Huh?
They don't know.
She'd be seriously gone.
Actually,
I'll sleep on your
no.
phone.
Actually, there's only a couple of people that know
There's a
what's going on.
reason why they don't.
She probably has it on her phone, just hasn't seen it.
No.
She don't check her messages.
Well, this has not been sent out in a message. All right, okay. All right, we digress. Let's, yes, sir.
Okay, good.
Hold on. Did you have something, Emily?
I said, we going to.
Oh, that was all it was? All right.
Are we?
Huh?
Are we going to?
Told you, don't even ask. I'm not even going to get into it.
Yes. No.
So, all right, we'll do prayer requests. Go ahead, Corey.
4 boys at our school got into a wreck this weekend.
Okay.
Devin, Scott.
Well,
Right.
but
Some of the ones that are hurt.
Oh yeah, Devin, Scott, and Dylan, Karen.
all right, that's it. How, I mean, what's the,
And Troy was one of.
are they injured? Are they,
Oh yeah, Devin.
got a,
He has a, I think, punctured lung, and then Dylan, he has broken ribs. And then Coleman just got, skin up.
yes, ma'am?
A shocking died elephant.
Shaku, just in case anybody forgot about it. And just so you know, Brother Larry has now got the adults involved in praying with the Shaku. So that's a whole church for a prayer. So let's make sure we're praying for them. It's, and did anybody check out the Voice of the Martyrs prayer app I told you about? Ooh. Challenge you to do that. That actually only takes about a minute of your day.
Yes, we all did.
Yeah, I'll bet y'all did. Yes, sir, Si.
Tiger Woods.
What's the deal with him? I heard he was in a wreck.
He messed up his right leg and can't walk.
Well, let's remember Mr. Woods.
Hey, corruptible, right?
That's right. Top
World's
athlete.
greatest
Hey,
golfer,
well,
right?
and that's a good thing to look at. Here's a guy that is one of the very highest level athletes in the world. I mean, you're talking about a guy that trains hard, that works hard, that his life is dedicated to it. Did he just have something? I mean, what would you call what just happened to him?
Car
Tragedy.
The tragedy. So that would be something that's going to possibly redefine his life, is it not?
That'll probably affect him mentally.
Sure, absolutely. But what would help him with dealing with it? hear you.
Emily says
Huh? You was right.
And understanding that that sport and that odd competition is secondary.
It is secondary. No matter what, it's secondary. And if we are as well trained Christians as we are trained athletes, we'll be all right regardless of what comes out of us. All right, we'll remember Mr. Tiger. All right, anybody else? Got any more? You leave Miss Piper alone if she's got something to say.
Just, we have a lot in our community and county that are on the roads traveling.
Yep. A lot of folks travel. We got a lot of, we have a lot of folks also that are dealing with a lot of loss right now. I mean, it's quite a bit. And, you know, we've kind of made it through the, it seems like the coronavirus hammering us so hard, you know, we're not having as much trouble with that. But now we're starting, you know, we're having some loss otherwise. I mean, y'all do remember Bill Zorn? I'm telling y'all, he's having a hard go at it right now. He lost his son. I mean, that's understandable. Remember Lori Burgess, Yates? She's 2 months past losing her son, and she still struggles, but the Lord is helping her. She's starting to be able to step back out a little bit and share some things to try to help others. You know, and that's what God will do for us. I mean, it's not going to, you know, if you lose somebody, it's not going to be easy. I don't care who you are. I don't care how strong you are in your faith. It's going to be tough for you. But understand that there is something. There is a reason for things. Seek what it is that God has for you. And you'll find it eventually. And he's going to do his work for you. Yes.
Luke Arthur, I've been here to thank this Lord and his grandma passed away.
Luke Alford. Which Alford is that? Do you know anybody know?
That's,
Gerald Graham.
that's Gerald.
Oh, well, okay. So,
Missy's.
yeah, but I'm trying to think, she was, that was,
He
He
died.
got killed on a boat.
yeah. Which, you know which grandpa would it?
Now he said grandma, but I wonder if it was a great grandmother. I wonder if it might have been like John's mother,
Well, that's what I was wondering about, was Miss Nicholson or something like
or
that.
else the offer on the offer side.
Could have been. But whoever it is, no clue. So, that's good. Anybody else?
Charlene said to remember Sister Aunt Amy that had, I told you, the cancer. Well, they went in, she was supposed to go in and have a complete hip removal. They went in, and they only had to do a partial and actually couldn't find the cancer.
Thank the Lord.
But they're still, went in and took a piece and sent it off,
Sure.
but they're almost positive. They don't know what they saw initially, but they could
Well,
not.
they probably
actually-
saw cancer, but the Lord takes care of
And
it.
so she said just to continue to pray, but it's a
What was her name? Amy,
Miller.
Miller, yeah. That's a good report. Kind of report you hear. That's a real blessing out there. Amen. Yes, sir. Do you have something for that? Absolutely. We always remember each other. I mean, that's the thing. When you're praying, always remember each other. Your brothers and sisters in Christ that's here, especially those overseas, get to come together. Remember each other. Lift each other up. You never know when one of us needs that lift. So always do that. Always lift each other up. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
Me?
I like it. Absolutely. Anybody else?
Remember Ricky Darrow, he's still, it's been a month, he's still in the hospital and he's not doing good from his brain surgery.
Anybody? Anybody want to pray for us tonight? No? Go right ahead, brother. Y'all bow your heads.